Hello, Ramley and other family, especially Colts family. I'm Peo Time, and I have a very special guest here with me today. That I'm going to bring him on in a moment, and we are going to preview the LA Rams as they travel to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. And this is a game I think we're Ram fans are really excited for. We know that we had a good game against the Bears last week, and we look to build on that. And then I think for Colts fans, this is seen as an important game for them to win, as they lost their home opener to Seattle. And so, it's going to be a team that's hungry. I think it's going to be a hard fought game, but we're going to get into that. But please comment, let me know how you're doing tonight and what you think your prediction is. And whether you're watching live with me now or on the replay, thank you so much for tuning in. I encourage you to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to this channel to turn on bell notifications. And I really appreciate it. But anyway, let's get into this. We're going to preview this game, and I bring on none other than one of my favorite people in existence. He is an elite Colts fan. This is my good friend, elite Colts fan, Jared. Hello, Jared.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Glad
Yeah,
to be here live. I've been on a Move episode, so live. I feel like I've moved up a little bit in the world. So
it is true. Yeah, you represented the Colts very well in our Move series. So thank you for that. And thank you for coming on again to help preview this game.
no
I am
problem.
going to give a couple of shout outs here before we get started, just to welcome people in. We got Tribe, he's here. And yeah, I did see that Cowherd ranked the Rams #1 today. That was kind of cool. Hilltop Sasquatch Sports Report, hello. And he's predicting 41-17 Rams win. Okay.
Yikes.
North Dallas 40 is saying Rams run D. Yeah, he's got some concerns about Rams special teams. And leave it to North Dallas 40 to put the Rams on notice of their flaws. Rams House, how you doing? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. And not sure what you mean by that, North Dallas 40. Anyway, and Mark, I see you here. Thank you for tuning on in. It's awesome to see everybody. And I'm Rams House. That's awesome. You're getting a new Rams jersey. That's a tough choice between Bobby Trees and Jalen Ramsey. I think I'd pick Bobby Trees. Anyway, let's get into this. So, Jarrett, let's start with last week. So the Colts had a bit of a heartbreaking loss against the Seahawks. And I know the Ramley was really cheering on the Colts, hoping that you would have beaten them. But it didn't work out that way. But what happened in that game?
I think a lot of it was just our training camp was a bit injury plagued and illness plagued, including COVID related. So there wasn't a lot of chemistry specifically on the offensive side, and you could definitely see that with the offensive line, which has been top 3, if not #1, the past couple of years, and that was their worst game I've seen in probably since the Andrew Luck era, so at least 4 or 5 years, and I think that's the same for many Colts fans. So I think that was a big concern. And Seattle's D-line, honestly, kind of came out of nowhere. I'm obviously recognize them for their linebacking core and secondary, but I think that surprised me, at least initially watching. So I think just some chemistry and missing some key pieces. And yeah, I think that's kind of what it goes down to.
Okay. And so obviously, the Colts are 0-1, and they'll really want to win this week here. What, as a Colts fan, what's something about the Rams that you think the Colts will need to adjust to win this game?
I think they're just like all their trickery in offense. They do a lot of bootleg stuff, and I think our defense can handle it. Our secondary definitely is a bit depleted at the moment, but We hope to get some pieces back. Not sure about Xavier Rhodes yet, which obviously would be the biggest piece and would be tremendous against the Rams. But I think some of our pieces are returning, which could help. I think that's the biggest concern. Also, I mentioned the offensive line. So our left tackle, Eric Fisher, looks like he'll be playing again this week, or making his Colts debut, which is a big get. Last week, our backup left tackle got destroyed by Seattle players I had never heard of. And so I think getting him back will help, because otherwise, you guys have some good D-line players, that's for sure. But I think getting Eric Fisher back, our O-line will be back to full strength. So
definitely, and something that I found really interesting when doing my research for this game is so Sean McVay's first career win ever was against the Colts.
yeah,
But Aaron Donald actually did not play in that game.
our quarterback was also Scott Tolzien.
Oh yeah. No, we're not rehashing that. We know that the Rams had a good game that game. But it was interesting that Aaron Donald was in a contract dispute at the time.
Yeah.
So he actually has never played the Colts in his career. So this will be Aaron Donald's first time playing the Colts, which I thought was
Quentin Nelson, which should be quite the matchup.
Yeah, no, really looking forward to seeing that. Definitely some elite talents taking each other on there. What about, I know one of the things on paper that would appear to be an advantage for the Rams, I'd love to get your thoughts on it, is the Rams secondary played really well against the Bears. And last season they were great, but definitely they got to a great start here in week 1.
Yep.
Do you think the Colts wide receivers and Zach Pascal and Michael Pittman, do they have what it takes to take on this elite Rams secondary?
I'll be interested to see kind of how the coverage works, because the Colts receivers right now, and they have been for a long time, there's not going to be one guy that is going to beat you. There's not going to be a Devontae Adams or a Stephon Diggs that you have to take account for, even with T.Y. Hilton there, because T.Y. Hilton's always the deep ball guy, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll be curious to see if they do still a man approach versus a kind of a zone. And I think it's not necessarily that when receivers do good with the Colts, it's not necessarily their individual play, but rather Frank Reich's scheme and the different plays he draws up for specific players, for routes to take place for specific ones. The Colts fans are expecting a breakout season for Michael Pittman. He's great yards after the catch receiver.
I have him on three of four of my fantasy teams.
And Zach Pascal is always going to be dependable. Paris Campbell, we're expecting big things after several years of injury. And so I think they're going to have to obviously step up. But I think it's going to be more about the scheme that Frank Reich designs, just because of the type of receivers the Colts have and have frankly always kind of had for at least the past 12 to 15 years at this point.
And I think that something that's going to be really unique about this Colts team is so in week 1 against Seattle, the Colts faced an offensive scheme that's actually very similar to the Rams, because the Seahawks' new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, he runs a very similar scheme. He comes from the McVay coaching tree.
Yep.
And so there is kind of, I would say that is an advantage for the Colts coaching staff, that they are preparing for a similar scheme 2 weeks in a row. Now, obviously, they run the scheme, there's variations, there's differences, and the players are different, in their execution of it. So I'll be curious to see how that works out. The other thing that I'm kind of nervous about with the Colts is in week 1, the Colts on 40% of their pass plays pass to either Jonathan Taylor or Nyheim Hines.
Yep.
So this is a very pass-happy offense towards your running backs. And the Rams have been burnt by that in the past, and we saw what David Montgomery was able to do with us last week. So I think that's something that Rams fans and the Rams coaching staff has to look to fix and tighten up that defense against the running back, whether that's a play action pass play, or just learning how to guard the screen. So
Totally.
I don't know. Are you for all the fantasy football players out there, are you saying it's a good week for starting Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines?
Both of them, yeah, and I think that's definitely a positive. Watching the Sunday night game, right? Seeing David Montgomery blast through, because I think Jonathan Taylor specifically has a similar build and has similar run through potential like David Montgomery. Naheem Hines,
Those are very similar backs. Wow.
I think Naheem Hines is one of the most underrated pass catching running back in the league. He just got extended by the Colts for 3 more years, and people think he's overpaid because he's going to be backup to Jonathan Taylor. You look at James White with the Patriots. He's been the most consistent check down running back, you could say, the past several years, and I think Naheem Hines is a close second. Okay. And his speed and burst potential, both of them just wear you down. And something to keep note, we still have Marlon Mack as our third string, coming off his Achilles injury, but the year before that, 1,000-year runner. So even if one of them gets fatigued, and he still has he can still catch the ball fairly decently. I'd say he's probably the weakest of the three, but he's still pretty good. Okay. And Frank Reich, we did this lots with Phillip Rivers, understanding Phillip Rivers wasn't necessarily the most clutch quarterback, but he was dependable last year. Time of possession, and if we can have the ball and hold it, that will keep the Colts in the game, and that's exactly how we went 11-5 last year, and contended against some of the better teams.
Very cool, very cool. Well, Jared, are you cool if we take a couple of comments and then we'll continue our preview here? We have some interesting predictions that I'd love your reaction to as I read them off here. So we have Dominic thinks Darrell Henderson will break 100 yards this week. Would you say yes or no?
I don't see that happening. Okay. The Colts don't usually surrender to rushers. Our run defense is one of the best in the league. Okay. So I don't see that happening. I could see him. He could have a good game. You never know. But I don't see that one particular. Okay. If you're going to beat the Colts, it'll definitely be by the pass this week. Okay.
Okay, that's fair. Jarrett, he's asking, will Sony Michel be on the field? Jarrett, I'll take this one. I think so. We only saw him I think for 2 snaps against the Bears. I think Sony Michel will see a little bit more field time, but Henderson did great, especially in that fourth quarter for the Rams. So I still think he's the feature back, at least early in the season. Stafford's Rams will beat the Colts like Joe Namath beat him in the Super Bowl. North Dallas 40, always bringing
Colts were in Baltimore then, to be fair. So
that is fair. That is fair. Jonathan Taylor could be a problem. Yeah, I hear you, Nady boy. How many 50-yard bombs do you think we will have this week? Nady boy is saying the Colts secondary is poop.
I don't know about that. They're not as good without Xavier Rhodes, that's for sure. So if he doesn't play, they'll probably be a lot worse than they could be. But Kenny Moore, one of the best slot corners in the league, 100%.
Okay, we'll have to watch out for Kenny Moore, definitely. I think good D-line players is an understatement. Wow, this comment section blew up. I did not realize that. Hello, Jay. Glad you're here. North Dallas 40 thinks Stafford will have the greatest game in NFL history on Sunday.
No, I don't even know if I'd be mad if it would be the greatest game in NFL history. I think you can't be mad at that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You gotta be a football fan first, right? Aaron Donald. Okay, we're not gonna read the rest of that comment. North Dallas 40. Jay, who's a 49ers fan, he's saying DeForest Buckner will always be a Niner. Jared, what do you say to that?
Yeah, he was the best first round pick I think we could have taken last year. So he's been awesome for us, and I think he was in the top 30 in the NFL 100, and he's playing like he's already made up the first round pick. Like he's awesome.
Pittman did nothing for me in fantasy last week.
Yep, we didn't throw to him very much, so that'd be why. And he catches everything that gets thrown to him. So just not a lot of plays, and I think that has to do with Carson Wentz was scrambling.
We'll see if we can get the Pittman a little more involved this week. I guess that's what the Colts coaching staff will have to say. JC Eagles talk. Great to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Benjamin is, guys, 7 people watching, 3 likes. Can we do better? Thank you, Benjamin, for that. I appreciate that. Everyone watching, if you could smash that like button, really helps me out. Thank you, Benjamin. Why did you take Buckton? Jay's still salty about it.
We didn't steal him. Chris Ballard called John Lynch, and John Lynch said yes.
Yeah, I don't even know. Who did the Niners take with that number 1 overall pick?
I don't know.
Oh, we'll have to look that up.
Someone look that up for us. Who did the Niners take last year with the Colts pick?
Yeah, if you can comment that in the chat, we'll really appreciate that forever. Thank you, Nate, for liking. What's your thoughts on the NFC West after week 1? Actually, yeah, Jarrett. I know my thoughts are this is the best division in football. All 4 of these teams look scary good. I'd love to hear from an outsider's perspective. What are your thoughts on the NFC West?
Yeah, I think they've been dominant for a really long time, and off the top of my head, I would say they might be the best. I think I wasn't surprised at how good the Cardinals were last week, but just as a Colts fan, and the Titans are our immediate rivals right now in our division. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone expected it to be that big of a blowout. So I think that was definitely shocking, and I'm not sure. I guess we'll see, but maybe the Titans also don't have as much chemistry as they would like, just like the Colts at the moment. So, I mean, I'm thankful the Titans also lost. The Texans somehow are currently winning the division after week 1. I also don't think the Texans were going to be as bad as a lot of people said. I mean, a lot of memes, deservedly so, but they have a lot of veteran players, and you're always going to get a couple games of it, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely thankful that the Titans still lost, and the Titans are playing the Seahawks, I believe, this week as well. So, I mean, the Colts and Titans are still fairly in the same boat, no matter what, and that's a bit comforting. But yeah, the NFC West is awesome. I enjoy watching all their games because they're always exciting. So,
absolutely, and we'll see if the entire NFC West can start off 2-0. That would be insane. That'd be crazy.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. North Dallas 40s laughing at Wentz. We will get to him. We're just going to take a couple more comments, then we're going to preview the quarterbacks in this game. Nady Boy is thinking Colts going to run all game.
Okay. That's their slogan.
Yeah.
That's how the Colts play every game. That's not going to be unique to the Rams.
Mark's asking a great question here. How do you think Raheem Morris's hybrid 5-1-5 defense works on the Colts? Shut down the Bears' passing game completely. They're going to come after Wentz big time. What do you think about that, Jared?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt the Rams have a lot of blitz potential. But again, I think there's not as many creative play callers in the league like Frank Reich. So I'll be interested. And they've seen now the week 1 tape, and I have no doubt there'll probably be a couple sacks on Carson Wentz this week by the Rams. I don't think you can avoid that with a team like the Rams. I don't know. I think we have a bit more creativity than Matt Nagy in our playbook. I'll say that.
Well, and I also think that in that Bears game, there seemed to be an obvious bend but don't break in regards to the passing game. And we gave the Bears everything underneath, and we just didn't give anything over the top. And I'll be curious if the Colts can maybe use their fire and lightning running back duel to do something against that Rams defense.
Yeah, because the Colts don't take many deep shots anyway, right? So
Yeah, it's a
We'll
very
see.
different team. Yeah, we will see. That'll definitely be one of the more interesting things heading into this game. Best O-line with a top 10-ish running back. I'm not sure if you're talking about the Colts or the Rams, Nady boy, but cool. Okay, we won't get into the chat disputes going on. I think AD gets 3 sacks and Floyd gets 1 and Holland gets 1. Dominic, okay.
It'd be tough to see that many sacks. I don't know. Aaron Donald's going to be lined up against Ryan Kelly and Quentin Nelson, both all pro. So I'm excited either way. So,
all right, guys, we're gonna keep previewing this game, but keep the comments coming. Appreciate it so much. A couple more here that are just quick reactions that I really love here. So we got Dominic Stafford will have a 400-yard game.
it's definitely possible. I'm not going to say. With your offense, definitely possible.
And Nady Boy saying, we only got 6 likes. Would love if you guys help me out with that thumbs up button. Well, so Jarrett, let's we had Carson Wentz mentioned before.
Yep.
So both Carson Wentz, Matt Stafford, they get traded to new teams this year. Wentz obviously goes from the Eagles to the Colts, Stafford from the Lions to the Rams. I'm curious, what is your take to, like, how comfortable are you with Wentz as your quarterback? And do you feel it was an upgrade at the position from Jacoby Brissett and Philip Rivers last season?
Yeah, I think there's a sense of optimism with Carson Wentz for Colts fans because his best season came under Frank Reich. And I'm talking a lot about Frank Reich's potential. He definitely has his flaws, but he knows how to handle his quarterbacks. And in the couple of years he's been there, he's had a different quarterback under center every year, and they've all performed fairly well. Now, the reason we're optimistic, yes, he had his best year under him, but even the game last week, Carson Wentz seemed to be different than even last year. I think Colts fans didn't blame the loss on him whatsoever, and I definitely wouldn't. He seemed to be in control. He wasn't just chucking it up there when he felt pressure to make a play, which Philip Rivers would do, which then would lead to a pick six. And Philip Rivers definitely had some good qualities, but that's something he's always been notorious for. And so we didn't get that last week. I think the concern, obviously, is his injury history, more so than our other quarterbacks. And he got pounded last week from our depleted offensive line. So we definitely want to protect him a bit more. And he'll learn to dump out the passes, I think, a bit more. There's probably a couple of those sacks that he could have maybe been avoided, but I don't think you can fault him for a week one kind of chaotic training camp. But I think overall, he's definitely more mobile than both Jacoby Brissett and Philip Rivers. He's able to move in the pocket, and that's something Brissett and Rivers couldn't do. They kind of were the old school type of quarterback where they stand and they're just a gunslinger. They'll launch the ball. So I think we have a bit more flexibility with our offense and rolling out and extending plays with Carson Wentz, which is exciting if we need to. And that's something we haven't had in several years since Andrew Luck. But overall, I think if he can limit his turnovers, and he did that last week, then I think we're okay. He seemed to be comfortable doing the plays that were there last week already and had some chemistry with the receivers. It's just with the O-line. There was a fumble just with Ryan Kelly, and they hadn't really worked together at all on the snap. So I think, that those things will get ironed out even by this week. But at the same time, if it doesn't work out, we didn't give up too much to get him. So we'll move on to the next.
Yeah, no, and in contrast, the Rams gave up a lot to get Matt Stafford. So if it does not work out, that would have some pretty significant consequences for the Rams. But I do like Stafford in this game. I think he had a near perfect passer rating. It was one of the best games of Matt Stafford's 12-year career, and against the Bears. And so we're hoping he can build on that against this Colts team. I do think, though, it is important, and one of the keys for this game is the Rams will need to get the run game going better early. Yes, Hendo showed up in that fourth quarter on the drive where we needed him to, but I just don't think that this Colts defense is going to be, I don't think they're going to make the same mistakes that the Bears secondary did to give up those two 50-yard bombs. And I think that we only had one punt against the Bears, which is great. And I'm hoping that we can keep this offense firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, did Stafford have any turnovers last week? Was there any?
Not. No interceptions and no fumbles, which is really nice because Jared Goff had at least one in every game last year.
It'll be interesting to see because the Colts defenses are opportunistic. A lot of people call them. So we'll see what happens. There's usually at least one turnover in a game. So I'd love for that to happen.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And so I know one of the things that Rams fans are always watching is who is Jalen Ramsey covering? Now, he does get moved around the field a lot under Raheem Morris, but last year between Darius Williams and Jalen Ramsey, they were able to make the Bears' top wide receiver, Allen Robinson, relatively he didn't really do much the game. He got some catches, but he didn't have many yards out of it. The Rams secondary, they're known for their tackling. Who do you think on the Colts offense will be the key for them to win this game?
Man, I think it has to be the run game like we've already been talking about. I don't know who Ramsey's going to cover just because we don't really have a true wide receiver number one wide receiver. Could be Zach Pascal just to start the game, but I feel like, say, if Pittman starts heating up, maybe he moves over. I'm not. I couldn't even tell you going in what they're because it's a different receiver every week on the Colts. That's why I don't draft them usually on my fantasy teams.
You don't draft your own team's receivers.
Because it's someone different every day. I think, judging by how the Bears played the Rams last week with David Montgomery, I think we need all the running backs. So I don't know where Ramsey will go, but I'm sure they have a plan for him.
Okay. Well, we're gonna take a couple of comments here. We have Dan Pierre says, "Go Horns!" But shout out to the Colts. Been a fan since the Tony Dungy days.
Those were the good days.
Nady Boy 227 asked, Jarrett, how could we make you a Rams fan?
I cheer for the Rams a lot. They're definitely one of my favorite NFC teams. So I'm a Matthew Stafford fan. I lived close to Detroit for many years, so been around many Lions fans, and they've always been kind of a mini home team. So there's lots to like about the Rams. That's for sure.
No, for sure. And I'm
not switching completely.
No. No, and I'll be honest, over the years, because of our friendship, things like that, I have a soft spot for the Colts. I'm always happy when they win as long as they're not playing the Rams. But I think in the all-time record, I think the Colts are ahead by 3 games.
Yeah.
But the Rams have won the past 3.
Yep.
So, getting closer to tying it up. And let's not forget about the amazing Tavon Austin game back in the day.
Yeah, the one good game. He's
the only game in his career.
That's the last time they were in Indy.
Yeah,
that was 8 years ago.
Yeah. Wow, it's been a while. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll see a Rams Colts Super Bowl, and then we'll preview that game together. Who knows?
That'd be awesome.
So Jarrett, we're gonna get into the prediction segment of this game, and can you talk to me about how you think this game is gonna go, the overall flow of the game, and then what is your score prediction?
Yeah, so I don't think the score will be as high as some of your viewers think it is, just because of how the Colts play the possession battle. Especially if you guys do score quick, which a lot of you think you're gonna throw deep, which I definitely see happening at least a couple times if you have Stafford. Then the Colts are gonna get the ball back fairly quickly and hold it for another 8-9 minute drive. So I could see it being in the low 20s, the score, even 21-17, kind of like pretty low scores. I don't think it will be a big blowout just because of how the Colts play possession wise.
Okay, so you're thinking that this will be a slower paced game, playing the field possession battle. Punters will be in play, and that you think that the Colts are gonna try and hog the ball essentially.
It's the Colts way. Got to run the ball, use the clock to beat teams. That's just what they do.
Okay. So I'm sorry. What would you say your final score prediction is?
I see the Rams definitely have scoring potential. So I'll say 24-21 Colts for this one.
Okay. You're still predicting
With
a close
Rodrigo Blankenship kicking the game.
the best looking punter in football. Okay, I could see that going a certain way. I think I think it's gonna have a little bit a different flow to it. I do think the Colts will dominate time of possession. And I think they are going to pass a lot of screens to Jonathan Taylor's and Naheem Hines. As we mentioned before, 40% of the Colts passes in week one went to the running back, which is crazy when you think about it. But I think that we might even see more of that this week. And they'll just try and keep the Rams secondary pushed back with their receivers. And if the Rams are going to give them the stuff underneath, they'll take it. The Colts are fine playing that game, and they're kind of built to play that game. And so I do think that can happen. However, I do think that the Rams get the running game going this week with Darrell Henderson. I think that that will set up the play action. And I think this game will actually have a slow start to it. But I predict that as the game goes on, I do think there is going to be a urgency to both teams, and Carson Wentz will have to air it out, whether that's throwing to the running back or in the slot to the receiver. But I'm thinking this game's going to be a little more high scoring. I am predicting the Rams win, and I'm going to predict a 32-27 in favor of the Rams.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Jarrett, do you have time for a couple more comments here before we end off the show?
Yeah. Let's do
awesome. It. Cool. We have North Dallas 40 saying, your John Unitas days are over. Rams win big. Rams are going to feast if they dink and dunk. 4 points, a joke. No way Rams lose this game. Spread. Okay. Well, I don't really follow the spread, Mark, but I appreciate the insight. Thank you. Oh, JV in the house. Hello, JV. Glad you're here. Colts always lose week one and then bounce back the next few weeks. Let's not forget they lost last year to Jacksonville. Rams are a good team, but respectfully, the Colts are better. Colts get the big win. Now, JV is a Bears fan who, I'll admit, did predict that the Bears would beat Rams. But he was a good sport. He said good game thing at the end of it. So JV, I'm not sure if you're still salty, but I'm hoping that you are wrong about this prediction as well.
He's not wrong. We usually lose week one. Unfortunately, often the Colts start 0-2, and that's not a completely uncommon thing either. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Colts are known, unfortunately, for their very slow starts to the season.
Just gotta get that game going, huh? Mark's glad Goff is gone. Some talks about betting going on. That's awesome. We're gonna speed down here through the comments. Oh, Nady Boy is predicting 23-17 Rams. So another kind of low scoring game.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely can see that with the possession battle.
and Mark, I just have to address this comment. for the Tavon never did squat. One of the biggest bust disappointment in Rams history.
Look up 8 years ago, and he did something.
Yeah, if you look up Tavon Austin's game against the Colts from like 8 years ago, he had like I think over 300 all-purpose yards between receiving, kick return or punt return, and rushing. And yeah, Tavon Austin had like the only good game of his career against the Colts. So they're great highlights. Go look it up, Mark. Jarrett is predicting a 27-17 in favor of the Rams. Thank you, Jarrett. Very cool. And Mark, he thinks people are crazy for thinking the Colts will win. But anything can happen in football. Anything can happen. You never know. North Dallas 40 is predicting a 31-17 for the Rams. SM says 31-24. Okay. Some similar scores coming in here. I think the Colts will control time of possession too. So he agrees with me that they'll take the win. And I think that's just kind of what the Rams game has become. They're a speed offense, right?
Yeah.
But it'll be curious to see if we get if we get Tutu Atwell more involved in this game.
Oh yeah, true.
If you think the Colts are a better team than Goff is solid, Stafford is great. Yeah. Hey, Rams House TV, what's good? Welcome in. Glad you guys are here. And Pacific Loon, thank you for tuning in. Pacific Loon is the provider of this Rams merch. So thank you once again, Pacific Loon, for tuning on in. And we're caught up on comments here. So, Jarrett, this has been awesome. Let's kind of get to our closing remarks here. I love talking football with you, but ultimately, we know that this game, it's an important game for both teams. But what would a Colts win mean for the Colts, and what would a loss mean? Like, is this a must-win game for the Colts?
I don't think it's a must-win. It just depends on how the Titans do. I think in Seattle. I think that's definitely the biggest thing. Not that the Colts don't want to win, because Colts definitely want to win, especially losing 2 home games. That'd be tough to open the season.
Yeah,
but I think it would also just bring more confidence to Carson Wentz reuniting in the Frank Reich system. And if he continues to play consistently, like we saw in Week 1, then that's all we can ask him to do. So yeah, a win here would have big implications for the division. Colts have a long and hard schedule this season, so we're going to have to play tough teams, and we're going to have to learn how to beat them eventually. So if we could get one here at home before we kind of head out on the road to start the season that way, I think that would be really good.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for the Rams, this game is really important just in the sense that we have to keep pace with the rest of the NFC West, who all have a chance of going 2-0 this week. I also think something's interesting. So Sean McVay against AFC teams has done really well at the start of his career. However, as of late, in last season, we lost to the Dolphins, we lost to the Bills, we got destroyed by the Ravens. Pardon?
What about the Jets? The Jets?
We don't want to talk about that, but yeah, it happened. So Sean McVay, as of the past year, has not done well against AFC teams. So this is kind of our first shot this season to really get that going. I'll always talk about this. He's still never lost a game while leading at halftime. So we're hoping that the Rams have a lead at halftime and he can close out that game for sure. But are you cool if we close off with a couple of comments coming on here?
I'm here as long as you want me.
Oh, you're the best, man. You're the best. So to point out, Rams House, he said 2-2 at punter this Sunday. Rams House TV, is that confirmed? Because I really hope that happens because I don't like seeing.
He is the punter?
Okay, wait. I don't want 2-2 punting. No. I want 2-2 at punt return. Mark is saying, thanks, boy, for the info on Tavon. So he did have one big game. Yeah, okay, Mark, I'm glad you.
I wish I could forget it, but
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I sometimes go watch those highlights just for therapy, North Dallas 40 saying, horns up. SM, that's pretty cool of you, Pacific. Yeah, Pacific Loon is very kind, very kind. Goodbye, Nate. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you, Pacific Loon. Mark, it may get so ugly we bring in Wolf for some practice time. Maybe even Perk gets a chance. Well, I don't think Bryce Perkins will be active this game. Like they deactivated him for last game. Maybe. But Mark, I don't think the Colts will get blown out. They are a talented team, and I do think a lot of the Ramley isn't giving the Colts the respect they deserve. And rightfully so. They're excited from last week's big win over the Bears because the team looks really good. However, the Colts are a very talented team that I think last week against Seattle, the game just sort of got away from them, and they didn't really get to execute their game plan. So I'll I still think this is going to be a closer game than people think it's going to be. Yeah. SM, I have the Colts at 9-8, but if Wentz plays, they'll win 10+. What do you think of that?
I can't disagree with that, honestly.
Okay. North Dallas.
Yeah, the Colts defense. Don't underestimate the Colts defense.
Yeah, well, okay.
Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner are still there.
Yeah. Those are the big names we definitely need to look out for. And actually, Jarrett, could you talk about I've seen a lot of criticisms of the Colts secondary, mainly because Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf did really well last week. But I know you said Xavier Rhodes is possibly he is going to be out next game.
We're not sure yet.
Okay, so would you say the secondary is the biggest concern for the Colts?
On defense for sure.
Okay.
If Xavier Rhodes isn't there, our safeties are pretty good. Kenny Moore is really good, our slot corner. And our other corners are okay. But Xavier Rhodes is definitely a key piece for sure.
So are you saying
our linebacking core and our D-line are phenomenal? So
okay, if say hypothetical situation, Van Jefferson catches a 40-yard pass and falls down on the ground, would the Colts corners know to touch him?
Yes, Julian Blackman is our I think he's our second round pick last year. He's a phenomenal safety, and yeah,
he would definitely tag him.
They would be tagging him. I understand on Chicago is a bigger market team than the Colts. I do think the Colts defense is better than the Chicago Bears, despite Chicago Bears having bigger names. I think the Colts defense is better than that.
Okay. I love the hot take. I love it. Rams House TV is saying 2-2 at punt this. Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Nice. I don't know if that's confirmed, but I hope that's the case. LA Rams, welcome in. Glad you're here. So Art 2, welcome in. Glad you're here. He's saying Matt Stafford throwing over 300 yards this week. Okay. Horns up, Rams house. That's the best use of emojis for Rams I've ever seen, Art 2. Well done. Let's see here. Oh, it is confirmed. Thank you, Rams House TV. I have not seen that yet. I will have to, I believe you, but I want to look it up just because I want to hear it with my own ears, but totally believe you. Thanks for the update. So sweet. Oh, 2-2 returning punts. That's okay. We got some more confirmation. That's awesome. Yeah. Definitely gonna look into that. Oh man. Rams House TV with the breaking news. Everyone make sure to go subscribe and like their videos. Great Rams content over there. Colts defense, Jarrett. Yep, the Seahawks look scared to death. Okay, so Mark's doing a little bit of trash talk here. He's
all good. We did get turnovers. I will say that.
Blowout 31-13. Stafford, he's predicting 4 touchdowns and 415 yards. You know what, Mark? I'm I'm really curious if this happens. And you know what? Maybe Jared, if it is the case, maybe we can make a video, and we can acknowledge some of these predictions that came true. But yeah, I think this is going to be a good game. It is if you're in the Eastern time zone, it is at 1:00, so it's the early slate of game, which
Yeah, the Rams aren't used to that really.
no, yeah, it is a time zone change for the Rams, but at the same time, I love it when they play the early game because then I don't have to wait around all day to watch the Rams. So that's exciting.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm pretty stoked for it. So Jared, I'm doing a watch party for the game, and you're more than welcome to come on in for as little or as long as you want and react with me to the game. But any chance we see you on the watch party on Sunday?
We'll see. I think they'll hop in at some point.
All right, cool. Very cool. Very cool. Um, um, we have some great stuff coming in here. And all right, last comment of the night, guys, and then we are going to end the stream. But remember, Ramley, the run defense have to show up. Jonathan Taylor ain't no scrub. That is the truth, Rams House TV. And so, okay, Jarrett, say you were having to pick between starting Nyheim Hines or Jonathan Taylor on defense. What, or on defense, on offense for fantasy, who would you pick between the Colts' two running backs?
Probably Jonathan Taylor. He gets most of the chunk yardage. Nyheim Hines is the check down pass guy a lot of the time. Okay. So, but he could. It varies. You never know who's going to score on the Colts, unfortunately. Whether it's running back or receiver, I wish I could tell you more. But in general, even I avoid drafting Colts players just because they distribute the ball all over the place.
That's fair. That's fair. And I probably should do that with the Rams for the same reason, but my blind loyalty to them is my downfall in fantasy football. Mark brings up a great point here that the Rammies are great on the road. Look it up. He is correct. I don't know the exact step.
Also lost to the Jets.
Okay, we don't need to talk about that. LA Rams is saying, please come on the watch party, my man. So the people want you, Jarrett. They want you.
I'll likely show up at some point.
Awesome. Well, Jarrett, thank you so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure. I love talking football with you. And I'm really excited for this game. I think it's going to be a good game. Yeah.
I will say one thing we haven't talked about. Peyton Manning and Edgar and James are going to be in the house, the Hall of Fame induction for them. So, I mean, the emotional momentum is going to be in the building.
They're going to win it for Peyton and Edgar James. Wow. Yeah, that's
it's going to be a lot of famous Colts in the building. So.
Okay. So yeah, the Rams are trying to play spoiler a bit here for that crowd. Okay.
Yeah, gonna be a lot of the old guard there, that's for sure. So
okay, fair enough. Well, Jarrett, once again, we are going to end the stream there. Thank you so much for coming on to preview this game with me. That was a lot of fun. And if you're watching right now, please smash that thumbs up button. And if you love talking football, please consider subscribing. Turn on bell notifications. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, we are doing another trivia. We preview the Thursday night game, but then we also do some rounds of Kahoot trivia. So if you want to come and compete interactively with that, I would love to see you there. I invite everyone to come over to my channel to do that. And yeah. Anyway, without further ado, we are going to end this stream. I'm Peo Time. This is the elite Colts fan, Jarrett, and we are going to head on out. So I'm Peo Time. This is Jarrett, and we're peacing out. Have a great night, everybody.